I wanted to talk to you about climate change and
Hmm.
Miami being underwater.
So New Orleans has been facing this problem for a while, and it's been very apparent with Hurricane Ida that this stuff is going to only happen more often, and hurricanes are only going to get more intense. When before we started thinking about climate change, New Orleans was maybe the best place on the planet to put a city on the mouth of one of the most navigable river basins ever. And we just had that in our country's backyard practically. So we thought, oh yeah, great place. Let's build this city in a strip of land between a river and one of the largest lakes in the country. Brilliant. So they built this. They built New Orleans, and then as it expanded, they had to build suburbs into the swamps and drain them out so that it could keep up with the times. And then only until the 60s, 70s, 80s, we have people really started considering how our planet affects the way we live.
Yeah.
And New Orleans is a very, it's not a unique case. There's a lot of cities on the coastlines. Miami's one of them. All of South Florida is one of them.
Yeah, I did. I was doing some research the other day, and I was like, "Damn, I think my Miami Beach might be done for." And
We'll live like Venetians.
yeah,
There's a
that's
lot.
actually what I was thinking. Yeah, like
There's a lot of incentive to keep heavily populated areas on the coastlines alive and well. I don't think Miami's going to go out quietly. Same thing with New Orleans.
New Orleans is doing a good job though. They've built like pretty good
Yeah, they have maybe
barriers.
the most robust flood control system in the country. The question is, though, how much of hard engineering can stop the inevitable? Since the beginning of the century, Louisiana has lost a majority of its land to the sea. And just from the natural migrating of the Mississippi River, the Mississippi River moves around a lot. So it's migrating west and further away from where the mouth is now. So we actually had to build not flood control, river control systems to keep the Mississippi flowing through New Orleans. It's so comically stupid, but it's also bone chilling to think about. And New Orleans is pretty much a bowl. And the water is only getting higher, and as the ocean keeps encroaching, it's only gonna get more common. So it makes people wonder: should we really be setting up all these big complexes and urban areas by the coastline? I don't know if we have the answer for that.
Yeah, and
And
it's really weird because we don't necessarily know like a time frame for it
yeah,
because
there's something though that might give it a time frame. There's something called a biogeographic threshold. Computers off. Biogeographic threshold, where if you go past a certain point, there are irreversible consequences because feedback loops are. You know what feedback loop is, right? Something that just feeds into itself. So let's say here's one of them. If the Siberian permafrost melted tomorrow, all of it, we would have runaway greenhouse effects immediately.
those are glaciers, right? In
No, not glaciers. It's actually soil that is frozen over thousands and thousands of years, and it has things like methane and very strong greenhouse gases that are just sitting there stewing
oh really?
for thousands of
And
years. And then now that the Earth is getting warm enough, some of that is going to start to melt and release that greenhouse gas and make the Earth more hot. So that's the situation we're in right now. Some countries like China famously are trying to build machines that can suck the carbon out of the atmosphere. It's like, pushing Bikini Bottom somewhere else. That's what we're working with here. And once again, have we found our solution? I don't know. Will we find clean energy? Well, nuclear is pretty good, but no one
it's
doesn't
dangerous.
want to use that, it seems.
I mean, the radiation, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a whole thing too. But can humanity get its crap together?
We'll find out. On
We
the next
will
episode.
find in the next
It's
episode
it's hard. I
of
mean,
2020,
it's
the 2020s.
it's hard because I mean I was researching like they say by 2050, bro.
2050,
South like because Miami Beach is like on the island. South Beach is
pretty much.
it's on the
Actually, it
island.
used to be a coral reef, an ancient coral reef, and it just built on top of itself over many, many years. It's a very young feature, but it raised the water level a few feet, and those become islands.
Yeah.
So I can see something where the suburbs, like say Kendall or Hialeah, get a lot of flooding because they're located somewhere that used to be Everglades once upon a time.
Yeah, I was looking at the map. Like I seen a map about like the elevation levels in Miami, and a lot of them, like a lot of Miami is not well elevated, except for like Liberty City and like Little Haiti, are actually like on a pretty well elevated area,
Yeah,
which
and we're seeing.
is like one of the reasons people are like buying up property there and investing
Yeah,
in
there's
those
a
areas.
lot of controversy of gentrification going on there and climate refugees because it's very desirable land. It'll be very
Yeah.
important land in the future, especially if everywhere else is flooding. South Florida is one of the dumbest places to put a city down. Next to New Orleans, well, maybe not New Orleans. Depends on what perspective you're looking at. Miami's a dumb place to put a city,
Yeah.
but we didn't know that. And now all of a sudden, the globe is telling us, hey, I'm getting hot, and I'm getting hot quickly. What are you going to do about it? And it just seems like our answer is, let's do absolutely nothing.
Well, there's a lot that plays into it. You know, there's politics,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like, yeah, I think politics is probably like, there's a lot of issues are politicized, and then the issue then becomes nothing will really get done until it might be too late, or until something bad really happens, like until the streets are flooded and like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, we messed up.
Until it affects flood insurance rates, then people are going to lobby their representatives in Congress to give a shit.
Yeah. But
Pretty much. But we can't be negative Nancy's about it.
Oh yeah.
Because if we give up, then there's certainly no hope. So our option is to try. There's definitely an intelligence deficit, I think, between the people who are doing the research and learning that, hey, climate change is bad, versus the people who are writing and signing the papers to pass climate-friendly policies. It's a big problem in science communication that these scientists don't really know how to talk very well. We're scientists, we don't socialize. So,
I mean, and it's the issue has become politicized, and like once something is politicized, there's like one side or another side, and this is
say
like
climate,
nowadays it's like, you know,
say climate change is real in Homestead, and you'll get a lot of angry looks from. I'm exaggerating.
yeah.
But-
I mean, yeah, climate change itself is a very touchy topic, but I mean, if you look at the history of Florida, like it gets like South Florida itself gets like underwater, and like this like you've seen the map, right, where like over like centuries, probably like thousands of years, like Florida gets flooded up until like I want to say Orlando or something like that, like it's like underwater, and then it retracts with like, you know, the sea levels.
I wish it's moments like this where I wish we could pull up like a graphic for the audience to see the water flow structure of Florida before humans came in and after humans came, because it's night and day. Before humans came, the Kissimmee River and all that precipitation from Central Florida just flowed down naturally through inlets and groundwater into Lake Okeechobee, and then Lake Okeechobee would feed everything we know is the Everglades, and it refills our aquifer that we get our drinking water from. And then in a matter of 50 years, we changed everything. A few hurricanes came, flooded Lake Okeechobee. Then we thought, oh, hey, this is a dumb place to put a city. You see a pattern here? So we built levees on Lake Okeechobee, and yeah, it helped. It helped a lot, actually. Great success. Except now the Everglades is being choked out of its water supply. And that's a problem because the Everglades filters our aquifer water. And the Everglades has so many functions that people don't really think about. It's not just a dirty swamp. It's much more than that. So that's kind of our water history. You know, everything that is wrong with Florida, geographically and climate-wise, is kind of our fault. Red tides, that's our fault. We put too much fertilizers in Lake Okeechobee, and now all that stuff's going out the side rivers and making beaches nasty. So
Oh, wow.
we kind of did this to ourselves, but on the same end, did we really know any better?
Yeah. That's probably what they'll say when we're underwater.
Did we know any